A threatens B that he will keep B's child in wrongful confinement unless B will sign and deliver a promissory note binding B to pay a ransom. B does so accordingly. Could A be charged for extortion? Today's lecture is all about the offence of extortion, which is dealt under section 383 of the Indian Penal Code. We shall cover the actus reus and mens rea of the offence of extortion, its essential ingredients, the difference between theft and extortion, and the punishment for extortion, which is dealt in under section 384 IPC. Welcome to yet another episode of Law Cities, the mini law lecture series. The offence of extortion provided under section 383 IPC is an offence against property dealt in under chapter 17 of the Indian Penal Code. It reads as, whoever intentionally puts any person in fear of any injury to that person or to any other person and thereby dishonestly induces the person so put in fear to deliver to any person any property or valuable security or anything signed or sealed which may be converted into valuable security commits extortion. So the essential ingredients of the offence of extortion are intentionally putting a person in fear of injury, for the purpose of dishonestly inducing the person put in fear in order to deliver property or valuable security. So now let us start dissecting section 383 to find out what the actus reus and mens rea to the offence of extortion are. Putting a person in fear of injury, which is the actus reus, coupled with dishonest inducement to deliver property or valuable security, which is the mens rea, constitute the offence of extortion under the provision. But then here, what does injury signify? What do you mean by fear of injury? How much fear is required in order to charge this offence of extortion? What is valuable security? We shall find all of these in today's lecture. And as far as property is concerned, they have not stipulated it to be movable or immovable, which means the term property is wide enough to cover both of these classes of property. Now moving on to the intention part of the offence of extortion. Here they have stated that the mens rea is dishonest inducement. Here the term dishonest is the same as the dishonestly you find in section 24, which means intentional act to cause wrongful gain or wrongful loss. You may refer to one of my previous lectures covering section 24 and 23 explaining both dishonestly and wrongful gain and wrongful loss for better understanding. Now let us find out the meaning of injury. Why? Because fear of injury is one of the essential ingredients of the offence of extortion. Now, does this term injury only denote bodily harm, or does that include even mental injury, or both? In order to find the answer, you must know what is the definition of injury, which is prescribed under section 44 of the Indian Penal Code. It says, the word injury denotes any harm whatever illegally caused to any person in body, mind, reputation or property. Thus the term envisages not only bodily harm but also mental injury. Example, fear of causing hurt, fear of defamation, etc. But then naturally a question arises to the amount of fear required in order to invoke the provision. Because a person who is feeble-minded may deliver the property way faster than a strong-willed person, isn't it? So what is the criteria, what is the benchmark availed by courts when deciding the degree of fear? Here the courts time and again refer to Reed Donnelly's case, which has come up with a principle to determine the amount of fear. And the principle is that much fear which is likely to induce a person to part with his property against his will is the amount of fear envisaged in this provision. The subject matter of the offence of extortion is property or valuable security. As far as property is concerned, they have not prefixed it with any term, which means it can be either movable property or immovable property. Now, as far as valuable security is concerned, you have to refer to section 30, which defines what a valuable security is. Valuable security is a document whereby any legal right is created, extended, transferred, restricted, extinguished, or released, which makes sale deeds, rent agreements, will, or even divorce valuable securities. The section also adds on saying that whereby any person acknowledges that he lies under legal liability or has not a legal right also is valuable security. That's also covering promissory notes, checks, etc. Now let us quickly check the difference between theft and extortion. Theft, which is an offence provided under Section 378 IPC, is limited to movable property, whereas extortion, which is provided under Section 383 IPC, is not just limited to movable property. It covers movable property, immobile property, and even valuable securities. The offence of theft is performed without the person's consent, whereas the offence of extortion is performed with consent. How come? When the person delivers the property himself, then obviously it is with consent, isn't it? Even if it is not free consent. Whatever, it is with consent. Thus, the offence of extortion is by overpowering the will of the owner, which is not so in the case of theft. The punishment for extortion is provided under Section 384 IPC. It says, the offenders of this provision shall be imprisoned for a term which may extend to 3 years or with fine or with both. And now on to the activity session. A threatens to publish a defamatory libel concerning B unless B gives him money. B consequently does so. Has A committed extortion? In order to ascertain that, we have to first consider the actus reus and mens rea elements required for the offence of extortion, which are putting the person in fear of injury and dishonest inducement of the person so put in fear to deliver property or valuable security. Considering the first part first, whether threatening to publish a defamatory libel amount to fear of injury in the mind of B? The answer is yes, because Section 44 IPC clearly states that harm caused to reputation is also injury. And as defamation is one such harm which is caused to reputation of a person, that is sufficient fear of injury, which is requisite for the offence of extortion. Thus, the first part, the actus reus part, is proved. And because of this fear element, B had given A the money. And hence, the offence of extortion is complete. Second problem, A threatens B that he'll keep B's child in wrongful confinement unless B will sign and deliver a promissory note binding B to pay a ransom. B does so accordingly. Could A be charged for extortion? The provision clearly says that whoever intentionally puts any person in fear of any injury to that person or to any other person, which means when A threatens that B's child will be kept in wrongful confinement, that is sufficient putting of B in fear of injury. So the actus reus part is proved here. Now as to the mens rea part, B signs and delivers a promissory note binding to pay ransom because of the fear A had put to B. Now whether promissory note could be a subject matter of extortion? Yes, because it is a valuable security as per Section 30 IPC, hence an offence of extortion, and A could be charged for the offence of extortion. And now here your problem to ponder. A dishonestly induces Z to sign on a blank paper and deliver it to A by putting him in fear of grievous hurt. Z accordingly signs and delivers the paper to A. Could A be charged for extortion? Please post your answers in the comment box along with all your feedbacks and suggestions. If you liked the video, please click the thumbs up sign, share it among your friends, and if not subscribed, please subscribe to Law Cities. Stay tuned to the channel. Have a nice day.